All right, this week's all-new episode of The Whole Story with Anderson Cooper, CNN correspondent Donie O'Sullivan looks at how conspiracy theories and online misinformation are affecting this year's presidential campaign, including the rise of Christian nationalism in politics. Here's a preview.
The job of the journalist is to ask the questions, allow the person to speak, and just report the facts, what was spoken. Would you like for me to pull up the definition of journalist?
That's okay, but thank you, Julia.
Okay. I have a God-given right to speak my own truth.
But there are facts, right?
The facts have shown that the election was stolen. Whether you're willing to look at that and accept that and really show what's going on, that's your issue, not ours. We want the God-given freedom that our Constitution and our Bill of Rights is based on.
God-given constitutional rights.
Yes.
They're two different things, right?
No, sir, they're not. Read, R-E-A-D, the Constitution. Read it out loud to yourself so that you hear what the words of the Constitution say.
God isn't mentioned in the Constitution.
Sir.
Okay, joining us right now to talk more about this, Donie O'Sullivan. Was she about to bring out the copy of her Constitution?
She was about to pull out her phone,
her
did
phone.
I. Yeah.
Okay.
As did I. We both looked up the Constitution and Bill of Rights together. There is no mention of God. It says, at one point it says in the year of our Lord, just to specify the date. But, really what that gets into is this idea that, and we've spoken to a lot of Christian pastors across the country that are really worried about this, right? There's this idea among some Trump supporters, something that is being called Christian nationalism, not necessarily to say that that lady there would identify as such, but this idea that Christianity in the United States has supremacy over other religions, which of course is not the case. There's freedom of religion in this country, right? But what we're seeing is this strand within the kind of MAGA movement that Christianity should take this supreme role in the United States, and that Trump is very much the person to achieve that. So that's kind of one part of this stock that we're looking at, and we're speaking to pastors who are very concerned about this. And then when it comes to the misinformation part of it, which you heard that lady falsely say that she believes the 2020 election was stolen. What we've really seen is that by convincing so many millions of Americans, I think something like a third of all Americans don't believe Biden was legitimately elected, it really opens up the floodgates to this sort of alternate reality where everything else is possible. So many other things that seem crazy seem plausible, so we also kind of dive deep into that Taylor Swift Super Bowl conspiracy theory that you might remember. We look at a bit at the genesis of that and how that became so popular.
So in your conversations with people, did you get the impression that they're really unwilling to budge if they are attaching themselves to these, alternate facts? Misinformation, conspiracy theories. I mean, it just seems, that nothing or no one can penetrate that.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I think a lot of what we try and do in our hour tomorrow night is to talk to people and to hear them out. I don't think you're not going to change anybody's mind without talking to them in the first place, right? And you're not going to change anybody's mind in telling them that they're stupid. And so really we're trying to get at why are people buying into all of this stuff? Because a lot of the folks we meet, they are very productive members of society. They have families, they have jobs, they're active in their community. But, it comes to QAnon or election denialism or whatever else, they just kind of go off in this tangent. And, really it's I think it's going to be the story of the 2024 election campaign and beyond. It's Americans are living in for the most part, two very different realities right now.
All right, Tony O'Sullivan, look forward to it. Thank you so much. And be sure to tune in to an all-new episode of The Whole Story with Anderson Cooper. One whole hour, one whole story, airing tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern and Pacific only on CNN.